Welcome back to the channel, and today we are taking a look at a preview of the 1.9.5 PvP update, and here is a little bit of a preview of what's going to be focused on in this video. The big thing with this update is the aiming servo, which follows where your mouse looks just automatically. So we're definitely going to be getting into that. There's a brand new map that is PvP oriented called the Great Carrier Reef. We'll be obviously doing everything in that map. We have some new decorative blocks, 4 different air intake blocks for all those awesome fighter jet builds and spaceship builds and things like that, even though air intake on spaceship doesn't make sense, but it gives a good vibe, it gives a good aesthetic for spaceships. You'll see what I mean. We got some more logic stuff, 3 new blocks. We'll take a look at those, and this is a big thing for a lot of logic people, and even for me, because it just makes logic easier even at the basic level. There is a quality of life feature to visualize logic connections now. And then another really good quality of life improvement is we can use the right mouse button mappable on PC now. So that's going to be really handy. So let's hop in. We go to the Great Carrier Reef, and here we are in the Great Carrier Reef. Let's go ahead and take a look at the map overview. So you can see there's a bunch of spawn points all over the place. We got a central landing strip, which is where I'm at right now. They've also changed the spawn point visuals, so it's no longer that big green pad of visually obstructive blocks. And now just nice rim. Let's hop on our rocket and explore around a little bit. So it looks like this is the central main island. Probably, oh, we got a spawn point over there. Probably going to be some interesting land battles that can happen over here. There's also some tunnels and stuff to fly through for air battles. Oh yeah, like look at this stuff up here. This is going to be fun for trying to bait people into crashing. We got a helipad there. And as you can see, if I go up really high, we got a red carrier and we got a blue carrier. We can have 2 different teams, 2 different spawn points spawning at the same time on carriers, which is nice. Yeah, a bunch of islands around. Looks like we got a lighthouse over here as well. And what is the let's take a look underwater too. Pew! Oh, jeez. Forgot that thing explodes. And whoa, looks like we have a really deep and varied underwater ecosystem as well. So yeah, pretty much just all kinds of stuff on this island. I think there's something for virtually every style of vehicle. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of the update, and that is this aiming servo right here. All right, so you can see I have it spawned in, and you can see the way it works. As I move my mouse, you can see that it rotates in the direction that I'm turning. Let's go ahead and slap a weapon on top of this thing. Now you can see it aims where I aim. But this is only one axis of rotation. If I aim up, it does not aim up because we need another axis for that. So let's see how this works. So now if this one's rotating side to side, and then we take another one and attach it like that, that should allow us to rotate up and down. However, I'm going to attach it up because it's probably going to have a collision otherwise. Oh, okay. No, that was my fault. So I think this gray block here is forward. So it's not trying to aim the gun forward. It's trying to aim this gray part forward. So the gun actually needs to be facing, your gun needs to be facing in the direction of that gray point. So now, there we go. So that makes more sense. And look at this. Now we can aim up. We can aim that way. All right. So the reticles, they don't really see. It doesn't really seem to be pointing the reticle at whatever object you're looking at. There's kind of like a defined distance to the reticle, and where your seat is in relation to that is going to very much change where things are. Also, just so you guys know, I recorded the multiplayer video in this update already, so this is not my first time seeing some of how this stuff works. You will see my first time seeing how that works when the multiplayer video releases. But as you can see, even when you try to aim like behind it, it just automatically adjusts where it's going to go. Oh, let's look at the settings too. So the settings, we can set your angles. So if I set like 10 degrees, then you can see it only rotates 10 degrees in either direction. So it heavily limits the aiming capabilities. And now I think if I set 180 degrees, that it'll actually go full range of motion all the way around in any direction. I can't aim down because of collisions right now, but you just have to be careful of that. When you're doing full range of motion, make sure you have everything cleared and you're not going to shoot yourself. Now, the other thing, so you can have a toggle on and off. And if you're wondering what that is, so if I press 1 to toggle it off now, you can see it returns back to its default build mode position. However, if you click hold position and then you toggle it off, now you can see it holds the position that it turns off in, and then you can move your camera around freely without it affecting the aiming turret. So now if I'm over this way and I press 1 again, you can see it aims right where I'm looking. I do feel like we need a better reticle now to represent where the gun's actually aiming. Because like if I'm just shooting right at that rock right there, you can clearly see this reticle does not do a good job at telling me where the bullets are gonna go. I don't know what the solution to that is. But now that I'm looking at this, let's say I move this to the side there. And I duplicate, move this over here. Then I can put this back there, this back there. Now I can have this on left click and this on right click, and now you can see we got left and right click. I am so happy to have left and right click. That's going to be so handy for arming different weapon systems and having them easily usable with just the mouse. This is so nice. All right, so then of course you got speed settings. So if I put the speed down, then you have more like a more immersive, realistic kind of vibe, where it takes some time for it to go towards where you're aiming. Interesting that they go up and over rather than just over. It's like extra movement, isn't it? Like, why are you doing it like that? What if I just go 180 degrees? Interesting choices. And I put strength on 0. I'm assuming... yeah, if you put strength on 0, they just become bearings. But yeah, then of course, if you want the most responsive, you put speed on maximum, and then it is nearly as fast as your mouse movement. All right, so let's move on to some logic stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and spawn in my drift car here. So one of the big things with logic that was a huge limitation is if you mess something up or you forget something. So I have like, this AND gate has to receive some inputs from somewhere, and previously, I would have no reference of where it was receiving inputs from. But now, if I click to configure, you can actually see there's these two lines that show arrows going from, you can see this logic gate. So this speed sensor is going to this AND gate, and this AND logic gate is going to this AND gate. And then this AND logic gate is going out to this so this AND logic gate controls this gyro right here. So if I click on the gyro, you can see that it is receiving from this AND logic gate, this AND logic gate, and then some stuff there. Oh, my seat, and the passenger seat as well. But the passenger seat is set as a passenger seat, so I think that overrides the controls. And then if I click on nothing, or if I highlight everything rather, and press the configure block, then I can see all of the hookups. So yeah, you can see the engines going out to the wheels, seats going into the thrusters. So this is a game changer for people who do logic builds. This is going to be like a huge benefit to troubleshooting especially. But there are some new logic blocks as well. I've taken a brief look at them, and there's stuff that I don't know how to use, so I'm going to have trouble describing them in this video. But we have a functions logic block. So this, you can have absolute, sine, cosine, sine. Wait, what's the difference between sine and sin? I thought this was sine. Okay, tan, square root, arc, cosine, arc, sine, arc, tan, ceiling, rounding, floor. So this does math, does complex math that I don't know how to use. I'm just gonna hook things up into it and see what happens. We're gonna do a push button, see what happens thing here. All right, we definitely want a number display so we can see what values it is outputting. Then let's use an accumulator. The accumulator will go into the function block. Let's go maximum 1, minimum -1. All right, so that doesn't appear to be affecting the output at all. So what if I do absolute? Is that just the value? Oh, it gives the absolute value. Oh, okay. So now whether it's negative or positive, it gives you the absolute value of that. Okay. Bring me back to high school now. All right, so that I can actually see. I might potentially use absolute, because sometimes you might want, like, these might have like a negative and positive input, but you want them both to send out a positive input regardless of if it receives one of those controls. All right, what is sine gonna do? 0, 1, -1. So this just seems to, like, I don't know. I don't know exactly what it's doing, but it seems to only give the raw rounding up or down. All right, and this one Okay, interesting. So a value of 1 gives an output of 0.02 with sine, and then tan. All right, that's doing similar things. Square root, well, I mean, square root of 1 is 1. Here, let's put the maximum up to 16. So then this should go up to 4. There we go. So square root, obviously, it gives you the square root of your value. So this is going up to 16, and the output is going through the square root is 4. Now I'm gonna go back to sine and see what happens. Okay, interesting. So the sine of 16 is 0.28. All right, and then we just got a whole bunch of other stuff. Wait, what's ceiling gonna do? Oh yeah, so ceiling, I think we had in like another block before. I think if you have like decimal values, it just, I don't know. Never mind. I'm forgetting things. I'm not gonna try to explain things I don't understand. Yeah, so that's the functions logic block. And then we have the aggregate logic block, a logic block which aggregates all inputs with a given function. So let me see here. All right, so this is designed to receive multiple inputs and do something with all of them. So obviously this is gonna add them all together. This, I believe, will multiply them all together. So here, let's take this. We'll set it to maximum of 2, minimum of -2. And then we'll do the same with this one, but we'll set the controls to right click for up, left click for down. And then both of them will go here. So now you can see when I click this, we can see both of them are hooked up to that, which is very nice. And then this one has to hook up into that. All right, so right now we're at 0. Now, if I put 1 up to 2, there we go. And if I put the other one up to 2, it adds them together. So this is just gonna add the 2 different values together. So then I believe product is multiplication version of that. So yeah, if we have one of these values is 0, the output is always gonna be 0, no matter what any other input is. And then as soon as that other input changes, there we go. 2 times 2 is 4. So there you go. There's product is just multiplication. Now, here's what I'm interested in seeing. Minimum and maximum. My suspicion is that minimum will just take, out of all the values that are input, is it just gonna give the minimum value? The smallest value. All right, so I'm gonna put them both at 2. So the output is 2. Now, if I lower one of them down to -2, the output is -2. And if I lower the other one, it shouldn't affect anything, because right now the lowest value is -2. And that's all that matters to this gate. So that I could see being useful for certain situations where you want a thing to receive inputs from multiple sources, but you don't want to add them together, and you only want whatever is the lowest input to be the one that matters. Or conversely, the maximum, you only want the maximum to be all that matters, which I believe is the other setting on this one. So we got maximum, and then of course, as soon as one of these goes up, the other one, as long as it's lower than it, will not affect it. But as soon as that gets above, then that's going to override as the new maximum. And then the other one no longer affects things. So now 2 is the maximum. So it doesn't matter what this gate does. It's always going to say 2. All right. So that is the aggregate block. So next up, we have the randomizer block, which this could make for some fun multiplayer things. I'm definitely going to want some idea suggestions for the randomizer block for sure. All right. So we have the range. And then we can have the mode. So we have output on input, change on input. Input defines range. Interesting. Minus change plus output. So I don't know what that stuff means yet. Let's experiment. If I have left click is positive, right click is negative, and then this goes out to the number thing. So right now it's 0. I have it on output on input. So if I give it an input. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So if I'm giving it an input, it's just outputting random numbers, as you can see. Now, what I think you would want, I would want like a hold or something. Change on input maybe is more accurate. Yeah, that's more what I would expect. So when we give it an input, it changes its number. And now we have a new number. But if we hold it, it cycles through the numbers between -100 and +100. Interesting. But when it says change on input, after you let go of the input, it retains the last value it had. Input defines range. I don't know what that means. Input defines range. See, now this I don't understand how this is like a randomizer at this level. So if I change the range, I'm just going to change it to something random like that. Now if I do input, that doesn't really seem to affect things. It's either +1 or -1. So I'm not familiar right now. I can't really seem to figure out the use of input defines range. It seems to just function like a normal block at that point, or it's either a 1 or a -1. All right, minus change plus output. Let's see what that does. Oh, all right. I understand this one. What it's saying is the negative value will change the randomness, or change the number to a random number. And then the positive value will output the last change that happened. If I just click the positive value, the positive input, then it's going to keep outputting the same random number, which is -46.34. But if I right click like that, send a negative input into it, then it changes that number. And now whenever I give it a positive input, that is the new number. So then every single time you send a negative value like that, it will output a new number on the positive. So that's kind of nice, because then, yeah, you could essentially have it where you can keep outputting the same random value and then have that change at like defined intervals rather than it being random every single time. All right, that's interesting. Yeah, the only one that I don't quite understand right now is this input defines range thing. It seems to just be positive is 1, negative is -1. Oh, wait, what? Now it's actually doing randomize things. Okay, that's weird. So I changed the range where the maximum is negative. Hold on, let me see what this does. Wait, what? Why does this work this way now? Input defines range. Still trying to figure out what that means. Okay, so it seems like if I have a negative minimum and a positive maximum, I only get a 1 or a -1. But if they are both on the positive or on the negative side, then I get random numbers. But hold on, so now what random numbers did I just choose? 18.28 and 19.78. All right, let's do 0 and 20. Now that's weird. When I press right or left click, it only sends a 1. When I hold right click, it cycles through them all. If I change this to 1, I think both are gonna cycle. Now positive cycles. Yeah, it seems like it's going between 1 and 20. Negative also does the same thing. But as soon as one of them is no longer on the choosing a side of 0, it seems to just not work. So this is a 1 in 100. Yeah, now you can see random numbers between 1 and 100, even when I press negative. All right, yeah, not entirely sure. Input defines range. Not entirely sure what the uses of that. I'm sure some of you in the comments might know and be able to let me know. But even better, for me at least, even better than these new logic blocks is new settings on the old logic blocks. So for instance, this speed sensor I will output to the thing here. So previously we would be like, we set the speed to 5 kilometers an hour, and then it will trigger a positive thing. Oh, that's the wrong way. It'll trigger a positive output of 1 or whatever your output value is here once it reaches the speed. So you can see the speed gate, the number gate on the right side, it shows 1. But one thing that I wanted, especially with my drift car, was I wanted the actual speed to change the output depending on how fast I was going. In which case, we now have an output mode, and you can say measurement. So now it actually measures the speed that it is going, and it sends that as raw data. So now if I make this even longer, it should obviously be going faster than 7. Yeah, now it's going 18, 15. All right, so now we got that capability, and I don't know what normalize is. Let's see what this feels like. Yeah, I'm actually not sure what normalize is doing. So normalized and measurement. Okay, so interesting is measurement gives about 7.2 as like an average. That's about what we're averaging. When I switch it to normalized, it is around 5.2. Now, when I change the speed here, if I go up to like 20, does that change the normalized output? It does change the normalized output, but it shouldn't change the measurement output. Yes, measurement is always going to be 7.2 because that's just the raw, how fast is the speed sensor going. So normalize seems to have some type of relation between your designated speed value here and then your output. So if I go up to 100, it doesn't even register. If I have it on 0, now it's giving the raw output. If I have it on 10, it's giving 2.6. So there's some math going on between the value that you set the speed sensor to and the output when it comes to normalized. So I can see that being useful in some certain situations that are a little bit over my head, but I can see people having a use for that. There are other sensors. So we have distance sensor offset. Offsets the point. Oh yeah, so now you can see, you can set where the distance sensor actually detects from. That's really cool. And you can see it on the sensor itself. You know what would be so cool? It'd be so cool if you could automate this, like set this to like change so you could have this scanning effect here. But now this also has the same thing. It can send the measurement of the distance. So obviously I got things that are different distances away. So that is 5.99 meters away. This is 3.67 meters away. This is 1.2 meters away. I mean, obviously it changes though because of the angle of the wall there. So now we can have a raw distance measurement. This is good. All right, workshop creations are going to get insane now because now it's going to be able to tell how far away something is. This means, at least for short range within 50 meters, it can have an auto like aim adjuster that takes into account like bullet drop or things like that. That is actually going to be kind of crazy. So yeah, now if you have something, you have the aiming servo. The aiming servo, what that is actually going to do is have a sensor that detects the range. So when you're aiming at the thing, it's going to give a range output to whatever your like projectile is. Yeah, there's going to be some crazy capabilities with that. Angle sensor has output modes now. All right, so then if I rotate it like this, should be like 90 degrees. Okay. Oh, but it only detects it within the blue range. Oh, interesting. So you set that blue range and it'll tell you how many degrees are in that. So this is like 45 degrees at the end of the blue range. So you can see it like 44 is like the last measurement I can see. Interesting. So this essentially, this will output the degrees. So now we should get the full range up to 360. Well, actually it's not up to 360. It goes negative 180. It's 180 to negative 180. So you can see that transition point right here as it goes 174, 177, and then negative 179. So there's like that transition to the negative point there. So yeah, now you can give raw angle outputs. Interesting. So when I click normalize, this is what's happening. Is normalizing... Oh, I think I'm understanding now what normalize is. I think it is giving it as a percentage. It makes more sense with this now. So wait, if I set the normalize, if I set output to 0.5. Yeah, okay. So I think what normalize is doing then is it is giving the output not as the raw data, but as a percentage of your output of 1 to negative 1. Yeah, so this will output to 1. So 180 degrees would be an output of 1, and then 90 degrees would be an output of 0.5. So now you can see if I rotate this thing 90 degrees in this direction, roughly, it should be, yeah, around 0.5. All right, now I'm understanding what normalize means. Now the question is, does the compass do this? What measurement is the compass going to send? Oh, it might help if I hook the compass up. Okay, here we go. No, so it should be angles then. I was thinking it's pretty much like an angle thing. Yeah, so compass is sending angles, but on a horizontal plane instead of a vertical plane. Ooh, gravity sensor outputting to number. We have measurement. Well, that's interesting. You would expect the gravity sensor would be sending a 1 right now. I do session gravity 0.5, or does it need to be a 0 threshold to send the number? Okay, there we go. So your threshold... What you set the gravity threshold to is going to affect its output when it comes to the measurement output. It's not going to send anything below the threshold you set. So I set the threshold to 0. Now you can see it's sending at 0.5. And if I increase gravity back to normal, it sends a 1. So now you have gravity outputs. This is really cool. Accumulator always sends the raw output. But yeah, the big thing is the speed sensors and distance sensors were the really big thing. Oh, also altitude sensors are going to be a really big thing when it comes to that too, because now you can have like raw altitude values as well. There we go. So 36.2. So we are at 36.2. So if I set the altitude to 100 and then I set it to normalized and our output is 1, because we're at 36.2, I think the number that will be displayed here is going to be 0.36 because it's 36% of 1, and 1 is equal to 100 here. So let's see if I'm right. Okay, it did not do what I thought it was going to do. What if I set this to 1 or 10? Well, now it's 3.6. Oh, because I needed to trigger below, because we are below 100. So this should do it. There we go, 0.36. Okay. All right, yeah, it is working how I suspected now. Slowly figuring out the new logic stuff I've never used before. All right, so normal logic gates like AND gates and OR gates and all that stuff, they do not have these new settings. So they are just gonna give raw 1 between whatever their output setting is. They're just gonna give in that range. All right, now as far as other new parts goes, almost forgot about these. We got the air intakes. So we have a bulky air intake. So you can see these things. They look pretty cool. And then you got these ones, which these just have a vibe. And if you look at the aerodynamics on them, they've got pretty good arrows. They are air intakes after all. They're supposed to be taking air right into them. All right, then we got propeller air intake, which I think is designed to be coupled with this propeller. Yeah, look at that. That looks great. I think if you put it in the back too, it could also couple with thrusters pretty nice. That looks pretty cool too. And then you've got the rounded air intake, which looks like this. This one's kind of interesting because it looks like there's a big turbine in there, but it cuts off half of it. It's like a full turbine on the inside. Kinda, but not really. The reason why this looks weird is because like this almost looks like it's a circle, but then you got this, which then all of a sudden becomes like an oval of a center point. These might be better like on top. I almost feel like something like that makes more sense for this one. All right, and then there is also a DLC for new skins. So now you can see after the iridescent was the latest one that was in the recent update. Now we've got digital camouflage, graffiti, pipes, gears, metal plates, rust, weathered, and geometric pattern, I believe. So here is, oh, look at that. We got digi camo now. Obviously you can change whatever colors, whatever different color pattern you want on them. All right, that's pretty cool. Then you got graffiti. Whoa, that's some serious graffiti there. So what if I do my colors like red and black, dark red and black? Okay, so one of the blacks, there's already had a black in it. So if you do black, you get rid of some of the detail. All right, that's pretty cool. All right, now pipes is pretty crazy. Whoa, man, look at that. Pipes is crazy. It looks like 3-dimensional too. Let's change some different colors here, like red and black. I mean, I think you definitely want like some chrome pipes. It's going to be more common. That looks pretty cool. So these, I feel like, are going to be better for like, rather than the whole build, just like little individual blocks and stuff, just those details. And then we got gears, which is very on brand. Very excited about this one. So you have like a steampunk vibe. And of course, I mean, it just fits my channel so well. Another very cool, almost like 3-dimensional looking one. And then we got rust. Now rust, the second color doesn't seem to do anything. So your rust color is always going to be rust color, but then you can just change like your background panel color to match whatever your build is. All right, then we got weathered, which is just like a textured, very, very textured kind of texture. This one also doesn't seem to be affected by the secondary color, but you can just set whatever you want for your primary color, and then it just has this very, very rough texture looking vibe to it. And then we got geometric pattern. I do some like red. Oh man, the red looks so good. Like silver. So this is very, very shiny, kind of like metallic looking by default, it seems. Yeah, this will be good for like some cars and stuff. Here, let's actually spawn in one of my builds and apply this to the actual build itself. What's interesting is like, so these aren't even decals. These are just actual raw paint colors. That's kind of funny. That's an interesting design. Oh yeah, there we go. It's even more now. More crazy now. Oh, I forgot about the windshield. Shouldn't have been selected. Now we've got the right part selected. That's pretty cool. Digit camo colors. I think this is going to be good for some street cars. But here, let's just go back to our normal metallic. So then like one thing we could do, like here, I'll change this one to pipes. Change it to like gray pipes, maybe with like a red background. There we go. Now we can kind of see the pipes in there. And so like back here, we change this to like gears. That's kind of cool looking. Kind of want to reverse the colors though. So the background is red and then the gears are more silvery metal gray. I think this metal plates one actually looks pretty cool too. Gives some cool vibes. Yeah, let me just do the whole car like metal plates. Yeah, look at that. That actually looks pretty cool. I like that a lot. And I feel like rusted ones are gonna be like individual blocks. Yeah, so we got a little bit of rust there. Probably a little bit of rust down here. Yeah, that looks so good. And then let's give these ones a bit of a weathered look. Yeah, this is getting pretty cool. The aesthetics of the builds are going to be crazy with these new skins. So yeah, I'm pretty sure all those skins are part of like the DLC that's going to be releasing. But I think, I'm not 100% positive, but I think all the other blocks I looked at are included in the free 1.9.5 updates. All right, so I hope I didn't miss anything. If I did, it'll show up in a video for sure. But let me know if you have any ideas that you'd like to see with these new capabilities and these new parts, the new logic, the new aiming turrets and things like that. And I can't wait to see what the workshop comes up with as well. So if you guys enjoyed this video, you'll probably enjoy some more you can find right here on the end screen. Hope this video has earned your subscription. Anyway, this has been ScrapMan, and I'll see you next time. Bye.